The test is divided into 4 sections. All the recordings are played once only. Now, turn to Section 1. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 3.
Hello, McFadden's Travel. James speaking. How may I help you?
Hi there. My name's Jonathan Presley, Principal of Sainsbury Secondary School. I am calling to ask about your early bird tour offer. I saw it advertised in the Evening Herald yesterday.
Certainly, Mr. Presley. What would you like to know?
Oh, please. Jonathan will be fine.
Of course, Jonathan. How can I help you?
Well, the first thing I'd like to know is, how long is your offer valid for? My third-year students are planning a holiday in early April. Will they qualify for the discount?
The good news is, our special offer runs until the end of May.
Oh dear, March. That's terrible. We've just missed out.
On the contrary, Jonathan, it's May, not March. You will qualify for the discount.
Oh, fantastic.
And I'm only just getting started. The best news is yet to come.
What do you mean?
Well, tell me now, how many students are you planning to take on this tour?
I expect there'll be about 45 students and 3 teachers accompanying them. Why? Are there any further discounts?
There are indeed. We do a 25% discount on groups of up to 40 people. For you, we can offer an even better rate, a 50% discount.
Wow! Is that on top of the 15% early bird discount?
It most certainly is, which makes your total tour discount, 50 plus 15, 65%.
Surely there's a catch. This is too good to be true.
Well, there is a condition that you must choose your destination from a list we have selected. You can't book a tour to just anywhere in the world with this discount rate.
I see. And would Madrid be on that list by any chance?
I'm sorry to disappoint you, but we do not offer this rate on tours to Madrid. However, we have an excellent all-inclusive 7-day Barcelona tour which is available. How does that sound?
Sounds interesting. What is the total cost per student?
Let's see. It works out at £679 per person with the discount. The normal price is £1,940, so you are saving £1,261 per person.
Hold on a moment. Let me get a pen to write some of this down. It's getting complicated. OK, how much will it cost per student?
£679.
And how much of a saving is that?
£1,261.
Barcelona sounds very good indeed. Tell me, what do you mean by all-inclusive? What does £679 get us?
Now you have some time to look at questions 4 to 10.
Well, that price covers flights, 3-star hotel accommodation and extras.
James, I must say I'm very glad I called you this morning. This is a fantastic deal. It covers flights, accommodation and what else?
Plus airport taxis, breakfast every morning, a city tour and theatre tickets.
Great! And what about the teachers?
The teachers can travel free of charge with the students.
Well, I might just go on this tour myself. I've always fancied a trip to Barcelona. But for the children's sake, of course.
Of course. Now, let's get to work on the booking. Exactly when were you planning to leave?
The 7th of April, if possible.
Yes, that's available. And can you confirm the exact number of students, please?
It's either 44 or 45. Let me see. Yes, 45. Exactly 45 students. No, sorry, in fact that's 46. I forgot about Jenny McCarthy. She sent her application in late, so it's not in the same pile as the rest.
So that's the 7th of April and 46 students, correct?
Yes, perfect. And 3 teachers. Is there a morning flight?
Yes, your flight is at 7 a.m. on Monday the 7th of April. Arrive at the airport 2 hours before departure. The flight will take about 2.5 hours, and you'll land at 10:30 a.m. local time. How does that sound?
Sounds great. Can I give you my email address to confirm the rest of the details?
Of course.
It's jonathan.presley@sainsbury.com. That's JONATHAN.PRESLEY@SAINSBURY.com. And we'll pay by credit card if possible.
That'll be perfect. What's your card number?
It's 6676 6654 9743 1251. Expiry date 01 Jan 2015.
And the name on the credit card?
That's my own, Jonathan Presley.
So £679 times 46 students. I'm going to charge £31,234 to your credit card. That's the total cost.
Sounds fine.
Great. Well, I think that's all we need for now, Jonathan. It's been a pleasure doing business with you. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a call. We'll be in touch next week to confirm the booking details.
OK, and thank you very much for your help, James. Bye for now.
Bye-bye, Jonathan. Speak soon.
You have some time to check your answers from 1 to 10 of Section 1. Now, turn to Section 2. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15.
Good evening, everyone. As you know, this is our last meeting before we set off on our annual week-long hiking trip. So tonight I'll be telling you everything you'll need to know to be ready for the trip. Let's talk about equipment first. Having the right equipment is essential for your comfort and safety. First, you'll need a warm and comfortable sleeping bag. However, you won't need to worry about carrying a tent, since we'll be sleeping in shelters along the way. Also, part of the fee you've paid for the trip goes toward food, so you won't need to put that on your packing list either. We found, though, that it's more efficient for each person to bring his or her own dishes, so be sure to pack a plastic bowl, a cup, and a fork, knife, and spoon. That's all you'll need in the way of dishes. Perhaps the most important item to put on your list is a comfortable pair of hiking boots. Nothing ruins a hike more than getting blisters and sores from ill-fitting boots. So make sure your boots fit you right. Shoes and sneakers aren't adequate for the type of hiking we'll be doing. Of course, a backpack is necessary for carrying your equipment. Make sure you have one that's lightweight and comfortable to carry. Walking poles have become popular among hikers recently, but we don't recommend them. They can get in the way when too many hikers are using them at once, and some serious injuries have been caused. So it's best to leave those at home. Let's see. What else? Oh, yes. Some people have asked me about trail maps. They're available, but you really don't need them, as your hike leaders have scouted out the trail and will be guiding you along the way. And don't forget to bring a warm jacket. You may think you won't need one in this warm summer weather, but remember that evenings in the mountains can get quite cold. Is there anything else I need to tell you? Oh, yes, your guides will each be carrying a first aid kit, so that's one less thing for you to pack yourself. Remember, you'll be carrying your backpack all day, so keep your load light and don't overpack.
Now you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20.
I know you're all experienced hikers, but it's always worth repeating the rules of the trail since they're so important. These rules are in place for the safety of everyone on the trip. As you know, there'll be a hike leader walking at the head of the line who will show the group the way. At the end of the line will be the rear leader, or sweep. It's important to always stay ahead of this person while we're on the trail. There are several different trails on the mountain where we'll be hiking, and they cross each other at some points. When you come to any intersection of trails, stop and wait for the rest of the group to catch up. This way we can be sure that no one goes off on the wrong trail. Let me emphasize here how important it is to stay on the trail. We'll be climbing through some steep and rocky areas. Don't be tempted to go off on your own and try to climb some rocks. That can be quite dangerous. Also, it's not likely, but it is possible that we'll encounter some large wild animals along the way. The last thing you want to do is try to feed any of them. That will just encourage them to follow us, which could lead to some dangerous situations. One last thing, before we set off hiking each morning, be sure to fill up your water bottle. This is perhaps the most important safety rule. Dehydration can be a serious problem when you're out in the wilderness, so you must always be sure to carry an adequate supply of water with you. I think that covers just about everything. Are there any questions?
You have some time to check your answers from 11 to 20 of Section 2. Now, turn to Section 3. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 27.
Come in. Ah, yes, Stella. Is Phil there too? Good. Come on in. Okay, so you're here to discuss your research project. Have you decided what to focus on? You were thinking of something about the causes of mood changes, weren't you?
Yes, but the last time we saw you, you suggested we narrowed it down to either the effects of weather or urban environment, so we've decided to focus on the effects of weather.
Right, that's more manageable. So, your goal is, Phil?
To prove the hypothesis, no. To investigate the hypothesis that the weather has an effect on a person's mood.
Good. And what's your thesis, Stella?
Well, our thesis is that in general, when the weather's good, it has a positive effect on a person's mood, and bad weather has a negative effect.
Can you define your terms here? For example, what do you mean by good and bad?
OK, well, good would be sunny, warm weather, and bad would be when it's cold and cloudy or raining.
And how would you define an effect on a person's mood? What would you be looking to find?
An effect on the way a person feels.
A change in the way they feel, like from feeling happy and optimistic to sad and depressed.
Right. And what sort of weather variables will you be looking at?
Oh, sunshine, temperature, cloudiness, precipitation, among others. It'll depend a bit what the weather's like when we do the survey.
Fine. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, what about background reading? I gave you some suggestions. Did you manage to read any of it?
Yes, we read the Ross Vickers article, the one comparing the groups of American Marines training in summer and winter. That's quite relevant to our study. It was interesting because the Marines who were training in the cold winter conditions tried to cheer themselves up by thinking of warm places, but it didn't really work.
Yes, they were trying to force themselves to have a positive mental outlook, but in fact it had the opposite effect, and they ended up in a very negative state of mind.
And we found some more research by someone who wasn't on the reading list you gave us, George Whiteborn. He compared people living in 3 countries with very different climatic conditions. Actually, he looked at several things, not just the weather. But he found some people's reactions to bad weather were much worse than others, and it was linked to how stressed they were generally. The weather on its own didn't have such a significant effect on mood.
And we looked at a paper by
Haverton.
Yeah, he broke weather up into about 15 or 16 categories and did qualitative and quantitative research. He found that humans respond to conditions in the weather with immediate responses, such as fear or amazement. But these responses can also be linked to associations from their earlier life, such as a particular happy or sad event.
Did you have a look at Stanfield's work?
Yes. It was interesting because the type of questions he asked was similar to what we were planning to use in our survey.
Yes.
He asked people how they were feeling on days with good and bad weather. He found the biggest factors seemed to be the humidity. Moods were most negative on days with a lot of rainfall. Long periods without sunshine had some effect, but nothing like as much.
That could be quite a useful model for your project.
Yes, we thought so too. Although we can't continue our survey for as long as he did. He did his over a 6-month period.
Now you have some time to look at questions 28 to 30.
Right. Well, you've made quite a good start. So, where are you going from here?
Well, we've already made the questionnaire we're going to use for the survey. It's quite short, just 8 questions. We're aiming to survey 20 people over a period of 3 months from October to December.
We can't specify the actual dates yet because it depends on the weather. We want to do the survey on days with a range of different weather conditions. And we'll just be working on campus, so our data will only be statistically sound for the student population here.
That's okay. Have you thought how you'll determine what will constitute each aspect of weather, and how many you're looking at?
We decided on 4. The amount of sunshine, cloudiness, temperature and precipitation. We thought we might use the internet to get data on weather conditions on the days we do the survey, but we haven't found the information we need, so we might have to measure it ourselves. We'll see.
Then we've got to analyse the results, and we'll do that using a spreadsheet, giving numeric values to answers. And then, of course, we have to present our findings to the class, and we want to make it quite an interactive session. We want to involve the class in some way in the presentation, maybe by trying to create different climatic conditions in the classroom, but we're still thinking about it.
I see. Well, that sounds as if you're on the right lines. Now, what I'd suggest that you think about, in addition to the work
You have some time to check your answers from 21 to 30 of Section 3. Now, turn to section 4. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40.
Good morning. My name is Marcia Smith, a counsellor here at the Student Services section of the university, and this morning I'd like to talk to you about visiting a British home. This may help you to cope well with your study and social life in Britain. There is a commonly quoted saying in Britain, "An Englishman's home is his castle," which sums up the importance we give to our own bit of private territory. If you are living in a British home, or are invited to visit or stay with someone, it is important to act thoughtfully. For example, be punctual for meals and, if you know you have to miss one, let your host know as soon as possible. Check whether it is convenient for others in the house when you wish to take a bath or wash and dry laundry. And unless your host employs someone to do the housework, you are expected to make your own bed and keep your room clean and tidy yourself. If you don't have a door key, remember to make arrangements if you intend to be out late, and keep your hosts informed of your whereabouts so they don't worry. These suggestions apply whether you're a guest or a lodger, and will help the household to run smoothly. If you're staying as a guest of a British family, or even visiting for one meal, it is customary to take a small gift of flowers, chocolates, or something to drink. Don't spend too much, as this could embarrass your hosts. If you're staying for several days as a guest, it is usual to give a small present when you leave. Usually, you will get onto first-name terms with people you meet quite naturally and quickly. If you're unsure, continue to use their family name, surname, and title until they ask you to use their first name. Older people, and those with whom you have a more formal relationship, may prefer to stick to surnames, for example, Dr. Smith or Mrs. Smith. If you're going to eat with British people or to stay with a British family, you may want to know if there are things that they normally do or don't do at the table. Rather than worry too much about rules, you may like to watch other people and copy what they do. It also helps to understand a few customs first. Both at home and in restaurants, people normally wait until everyone has got their food before they start eating. However, they will start before this if someone says, "Please don't wait," or "Don't let it get cold." When people have started, they keep their cutlery, knives, forks and spoons on the plate when they are not using them, and leave them on the plate when they finish the course. For each course, different cutlery is used. You may also notice that people don't usually spend much time at the table talking, drinking and smoking. In fact, after dinner at home, it's fairly common for everyone to leave the table together and have coffee in the living room. If you are staying with a family or visiting informally, it's usual to offer to help with household chores, for example, clearing the table and washing up the dishes after a meal. Even men are expected to offer, though you may not be accepted. At a more formal meal, however, the host won't normally expect guests to help.
You have some time to check your answers from 31 to 40 of section 4. In the IELTS exam, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.